Good morning, Bird Brains. I wanted to give you a quick introduction of what this episode is. What I've decided to do, along with the other members of the Between Two Wheels podcast, is to host some of the episodes here on the channel. I know a lot of people either don't listen to podcasts or would rather listen to it on YouTube or only on the desktop, what have you. But first off, I want to let you know this is not replacing any content on the channel. This is simply going to be an addition, and it's going to be clearly marked as a podcast. And these will be the full episodes. The only catch is that these episodes are going to be coming out 2 weeks after they come out on the Between Two Wheels podcast, whether it be the website or Stitcher, iTunes, whatever you listen to. So they will be a little bit delayed. The only way to get them on time would be to listen through those platforms. So if you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. I will also leave the link to the Between Two Wheels podcast website as well as the podcast links down in the description. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the Between Two Wheels podcast, where we discuss all things on and between two wheels. I'm your host, Johnny Roblock, and with me as always are my lovely co-hosts, Justin, breaking 15,000 subs, Bird, and Uncle, I Yell Because I Care, Ken. On today's episode, we will be discussing Justin's experience with his latest test rides of the Softail lineup from Harley, my 2 weeks in Asia, and Indian motorcycles. What's going on, guys?
Just trying not to melt.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
You didn't get shanghaied?
No, I did not. No, I stayed safe over there. Now, did you guys notice we hit over 1,000 playbacks on the Between Two Wheels podcast?
Womp, womp, womp.
Definitely we need the button.
Oh, we need that button, man.
Yeah.
I want that button. I want a real air horn, though.
Oh, God.
I was at Academy. I nearly bought one today, but the wife wouldn't let me.
Damn it.
Oh, well, actually, thank God for faith. Okay, so jumping into this episode, Justin, you've been posting some of your test ride videos on your YouTube channel over at Bike and Bird. Go ahead and kind of walk us through some of that and kind of the experience you've been having and what your thoughts are.
Sure. I recently partnered with Alamo City Harley Davidson here in San Antonio. They've been absolutely awesome. And one of the things that I wanted to do was to test ride a lot of the 2018s. Firstly, to get practice, or firstly to ride the new, or quote unquote new, they're like 11 months old, 2018 Softails. But I also wanted to get practice doing test rides for when the 2019s come out, because I'll be doing them the day after they come out. So I've never done test rides, especially like an official, get extra footage and everything type of test ride. So I want to do a dry run, and thank God I did, because I learned a ton. But I test rode 5 bikes.
Dang.
Yeah, I was shooting for 7, but I only got 5.
So you've released the Street Bob and the Heritage.
Correct.
What's left on the lineup?
The Fat Boy 114, as well as the Fat Bob 107 and 114.
Okay,
so
nice.
two Fat Bobs. I wrote them back to back too, so I'd get a good understanding of the differences on them.
So with the Street Bob, now you are a Dyna Street Bob guy, and you have the Softail. For those who haven't seen your video, tell us your pros, cons, likes, dislikes, what have you.
Yeah, so the Street Bob blew me away.
Yeah.
It really shocked the hell out of me. I was very vocal in the fact that I don't really like the way it looks. I think that small tank just kind of ruins everything.
Yeah.
Not only for looks, but also for functionality.
Sure.
I thoroughly think they should have stuck with the 4.5 or whatever is on the Dyna. But performance-wise, that bike blew me away. I was expecting it to be so lackluster, and it was completely not lackluster.
Plus that Milwaukee 8 motor.
The Milwaukee 8 motor is fantastic.
And that was the 107?
It was the 107. That's the only motor it comes with.
Oh,
You
okay.
cannot get the Street Bob in the 114. But the handling on it was stupid good. That bike handles just as good, if not better, than my Dyna does. And I've got over $1,500 in suspension upgrades on the Dyna. So, I mean, it's just insane. The power is just, God. I would bet that rider to rider, say, for example, if I rode the same bikes, that the stock 107 could either beat me or have a very close race with my upgraded 103. It is that quick. The torque is just everywhere on that bike.
Okay.
The only thing I really disliked about it was the seat and the handlebars. It comes with the mini apes, but that's just my preference.
And
Yeah, but the seat and handlebars are both Harley failures.
That's Harley tax.
No matter what. I've never sat on a Harley with a stock seat that I just loved.
Yeah.
I mean, even the CVOs, the Ultras.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one definitely blew me away. I was kind of on the fence about it at first until I rode it, and now it's 100% worth the money. I mean, I think it's $500 to $700 more than the Dyna was the year before. Completely justified.
Yeah.
Just with, well, I say justified. The power and handling alone justifies it for me, but the smaller tank and losing 50 to 75 miles of range,
that's a killer.
It depends on what type of riding you're doing.
I mean, outside of the city, that puts a hamper on things.
You're only getting about 20 to 30 miles more than a Sportster.
Wow.
On a tank. Yeah.
That's nothing.
No. Yeah. So after the Street Bob, I moved on to the Heritage, which I've been very vocal in the fact that I really like the way the new 2018s look. And I rode the 114 version of that, and oh my God, that bike. It's funny because I was talking to John Maxwell, another Harley YouTuber, and he pretty much nailed the nail on the head. He said, if you would have told me 5 years ago that the bike that I would want the most would be a Heritage, I would have fallen on the floor laughing. And I was like, yes. Because they have that old man bike mentality.
Yeah, they do. When I bought my Road Glide, the Heritage, the 2015 Heritage was one that I looked at, but I hated just the one that were all on the floor all had the tassels on the leather bags.
Yeah.
Thankfully, that's something that they've gotten rid of, but they replaced them with studs, which... but it's super easy to get rid of those. I mean, changing a seat would get rid of most of them. You still have them on the saddlebags, but the saddlebags were really functional. They are a tad bit smaller than the touring bikes, but I think it's by like 0.3 cubic feet or something like that. Not a huge deal. But other than that, you pretty much get the best of both worlds. You get the 114, which is torquey as hell, so much power. You have the handling of a Softail with the smaller tires and the better suspension. And then you get some of the luxuries of a touring bike because you get the windshield stock, you get the passenger seat stock, you get the passenger peg stock, and you get cruise control.
Okay.
Which was amazing. And the bags. And it also has a 5-gallon tank.
Now those bags, are they fully hardened or are they kind of softish?
It's like a reinforced leather.
Yeah. On the inside, they feel like hard bags, but they do have more give on the outside than a hard bag does. But it's not. They're not like the older ones. Like the older ones had to have the inserts to have any sort of structure to them.
Yeah,
they're definitely not like that.
And the new ones are side opening.
No.
You put the button and it just opens.
That's the new
Sport Glide.
Sport Glide.
The Heritages open up just like
really,
and you can lock them too, right?
That you can lock them. They have a different locking mechanism than the touring bikes. They have the push button on the top, but they just open up. Just like the touring bikes do. They're not the side open like the Sport Glides are.
Okay, so I must have been looking at a Sport Glide yesterday. Yeah. Now, the Heritage, does it have the two-tone windshield where it's like tinted at the bottom?
Yes, it's blacked out on the bottom, clear on the top. See, I freaking love it, dude.
Really?
I love
that is something
it.
I just don't like.
I even said, I can't remember where we were. I think we were at Javelina. I was like, if I was to get a Road King, I would black out the bottom just to keep that same look on it. It looks like an old police bike to me, and I freaking love that look.
Looks like an old man bike.
I mean,
yeah,
whatever.
I don't know. Okay.
I think I could make it cool.
Whatever you say, buddy.
It's so hard, though, because like when I was really considering, because I liked the Heritage so much, I considered trading in the Dyna on it, but I started doing research, and parts are so hard to find for that bike. I think it's just because people don't do anything on them.
Yeah, people buy them and they leave them.
Well, on the Heritage, though, it's everything that you can buy for like the Fat Boy fits on the Heritage.
Not on the new 2018s.
Not on the new ones.
What?
Like the exhausts when I was looking for them, it's weird. Like the Fat Bobs are all the same. I think the Fat Boy and the Street Bob have the same mounting spots. And then I think the Heritage and one other one are completely on their own.
Do they have a Deluxe this year?
No.
I want to say no.
I don't believe so.
Okay, so they got rid of the Deluxe probably for the Sport Glide.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's weird because it's all the same frame.
It is, but
different mounting locations.
Different mounting locations, yeah.
Okay.
And that's one thing that just killed me because I was like, damn it. Like I couldn't even get a really cool exhaust for it.
I know back in the day you had two different types of Softails. You had an FX Softail and then the FL Softail. And the FXs had pegs. A lot of the stuff would fit, but there was a subtle difference on some exhaust systems.
Yeah.
And obviously the entire front end was completely different on the FL versus the FX.
Yeah.
Correction. There is a 2018 Deluxe.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Well, I did not ride that one.
Clearly.
Yeah, so the one thing that really killed me with the Heritage, especially the 114, is the price tag comes in at over 21 grand.
Okay, so you could get the Road King Special.
Yes, the Heritage 114 and the Road King Special are only about $400 apart, I believe.
But with the Heritage, you're getting the 114. With the Road King, you're getting just a much better bike.
Yeah, you're getting a bigger, well, better in quotations. The Heritage, you get the better suspension, the better handling for aggressive handling. On the other side, you get the Road King with the bigger frame, the more comfortable frame.
And the bigger gas tank, the better saddlebags.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's all up to the rider, if they like those saddlebags over the other ones. Now, on the Heritage, can you take off the saddlebags?
The Heritage, yes, you can. They are quick connect.
Okay, so
that would leave you with the Deluxe.
And the windshield, you can take them off.
Right. So I kind of like that. It's kind of like the Sport Glide, but with, I think, the better looking front end.
I agree. I really don't like the look of the Sport Glide.
No.
In any configuration. I don't like the way it looks. I haven't ridden one yet, but
I think my issue with the Sport Glide is that they didn't color match the saddlebags.
Yeah.
I think that if they would have done that, it would look a whole lot better.
Yeah. I think they cut some corners there.
Yeah. And I think that front fairing is kind of
I don't like it. I don't like it.
They didn't do enough with it.
It's too ugly to be cool, and it's too small to be functional.
Yeah.
So you're not checking either of those boxes.
Yeah.
And the saddlebags on it are stupid.
Yeah.
They open sideways.
I just don't understand why. I feel like that would make it so difficult to put things in and out of it. Mm-hmm. Because everything's going to sink to the bottom, and then when you push up, everything's going to kind of
squish.
But that's actually the Gold Wings open sideways. The BMWs open sideways.
Doesn't make it right.
Well, I agree.
Doesn't mean I'm going to like those any better.
But the thing I've noticed, though, like when you're putting a helmet in there, it kind of sits on a shelf inside that bag, and then it closes around the helmet, so you don't have to try and stuff it in there. It's a lot easier to get a full-face helmet into that type of bag. Now, I'm not saying a full-face helmet will fit into these particular bags, but in the Gold Wings they do, as well as the BMWs.
Yeah.
Certain helmets do.
Yeah.
So there is that, but it all comes down to what market are they going for with these new Softails.
Yeah.
And killing off the Dyna line, they kind of chopped themselves off at the knees with the younger riders, because the Dyna was the cooler version of the Sportster, and you had the bigger motor. You could do a lot more with it, in my opinion, from a performance standpoint, than you ever could do with the Sportster.
Yeah.
And so the 21 to 30-year-olds who wanted a higher performing motorcycle but the smaller, lighter frame, they could get a Dyna. Now they're stuck with the Softails, but they're getting that more comfortable frame with the Softail over the Dyna, and just my personal experience with both.
I agree but disagree. Okay. The reason I disagree is because the Softails can outperform the Dynas. And I feel like I'm not alone in that opinion, because I've seen on Reddit the only people that are saying that they don't are the people that also complain about the Softails not shaking, which I think is the stupidest complaint ever.
I hate that.
The Softails don't shake.
Because the Milwaukee 8 doesn't shake like the 103s.
You can start the bike and it's sitting there idling, and your mirrors are completely still.
You can actually use your mirrors. They're not vibrating all to hell.
Right, but it's a counterbalanced motor, isn't it?
It doesn't shake.
But yeah.
I'm telling you, it does not shake. You get a little bit of feedback in the bars on the smaller ones, like the Street Bob and the Fat Bob. You do feel the vibrations, but it's nothing like the 103s.
Yeah, the Heritage video that you just did.
Yeah.
He looks to the mirrors, and they're just still. You can see.
Yeah.
And mine, if I'm at idle,
there's no way.
I got to give it a little bit of gas to smooth out my mirrors.
Yeah. And that's just the rubber mount on the touring bikes. Mm-hmm. And the Dynas also had the rubber mounted motors, even on the 103. So that's what that issue is. With a counterbalanced motor, at least on the twin cams, you had no shake at all. But you started getting the speed wobbles at high end speeds on those counterbalanced motors. That's why they cut the governor off at like 120.
Yeah. But going back to your comment about the cutting off the demographic, I feel like they definitely did not do that with people who are ignorant to it.
Okay.
So for people who are newer riders and don't have the knowledge of it, coming in and riding the Softail, they don't know any better.
They're not missing anything.
Yeah, they're not coming from anything. And like I said, the 2018 Softails would outhandle the Dynas.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Cool.
So moving on with the bikes, the next one I rode was the 114 Fat Boy. I hated that bike. I hated everything about it. It was funny because I came in with such an open mind because I really like the way they look in person. I think they look terrible in pictures, but in person they look really cool. They look really modern. I feel like they did a really good job of mixing that classic look with the modern touches, but that 240 rear tire is just dumb. It's so stupid. It's so counterproductive.
Does it kill the handling as you would expect it to? It
destroys it. Yeah. You'll see it on my test ride. I go to try to take a yield turn, and I take the turn and just drift out because it just will not lean.
Yeah.
And then to top it off, I'm sitting there having just a terrible test ride because I hate the bike so much, and then it starts pouring on me. Like, damn it.
Damn fair weather riders.
Yeah, so the way I put the Fat Boy, right, I pulled over for like 20 minutes. So I stopped reading. The way I put the Fat Boy is the people who are going to love the Fat Boy are the people that love the Fat Boy. Because I feel like the Fat Boy riders are a completely different breed of Harley riders. I feel like they're just so eat, sleep, breathe Fat Boy. But I think they'll love that bike because it still stays true to that Fat Boy fashion with the newer motor and the LED lights and everything like that. So
I do like that front headlight they put on there.
I do too.
I think
it looks awesome.
Very clean looking.
Yeah. So that big train front.
Yeah.
I never
like it.
liked that on that bike, but I like this new
the
LED,
new look. Yeah.
That Tron-esque looking one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I always liked the Fat Boys.
Yeah.
I've never ridden one. Arnold rode one. That just sold for like $130,000.
No kidding.
Jesus.
Yeah.
People are stupid.
But speaking of Tron bikes, the next one up was the Fat Bob 107. That was the one I was most excited about. So that one really blew me away as well. It could get me in trouble. It really can.
Yeah.
Because it's not only does it have the 107, which is just fast as balls, the seating position is so strange because it's comfortable, but you feel like you're in such an aggressive riding stance. It's got those really wide bars. You're hunched over just a little bit, but the seat is supporting you. Your feet are out front. Your legs aren't cramped up, and it just wants to go. Like literally the smallest amount of like input into the bars and the bike's leaning over.
Yeah.
It is insane. It handles like a sport touring bike.
Okay.
It is that nimble, it's that aggressive. And then throwing it into like a sweeper turn, it feels like it's on rails.
Now is this the one that has like the not mids but not forwards?
Correct.
The tweeners.
Yeah, the betweeners.
The betweeners, yeah. Yeah, and they were super comfortable. It definitely feels weird handling that well with your feet so far in front of you, especially for me because I rock the mid controls, but it felt natural. It felt so welcoming and just forgiving. Like that bike in the hill country would just tear it up.
So the next kind of push on that would be the 114.
Correct.
Which would be probably the same, just with a lot more balls behind it.
You would think. So it's $1,600 difference between the two models. So keep that in mind. Everything on it is exactly the same, minus the bigger motor, and it comes standard with ABS. Other than that, exact same bike. I think they're putting down 117 foot-pounds of torque.
Jesus.
Stupid amount of power. And so what really shocked me is 0 to 60 on those two bikes feels exactly the same. Mm-hmm. You would think that like with so much more power, you'd be able to feel it. 0 to 60 feels almost exactly the same. 60 to 100, completely new bike. On the highway, really? I was pulling up next to cars and giving it throttle in fifth gear, and I was leaving them like they were standing still.
Nice.
Wow.
That highway torque, or the torque above 55, 60 miles an hour, is instant.
So that's telling me that they just did, in essence, a stage 3.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which is nice because when you're looking at the stage 3 to the stage 4, you're going from a torque monster to a horsepower monster.
Yeah.
But it's good to know, especially for people who you're looking at $1,600 difference, but a stage 3 kit installed is $4,300.
Yeah.
And I found this out yesterday. It's $4,300.
Also, what I've heard on the interweb, so I haven't confirmed this, but I've seen it on multiple.
If it's on the internet, it's
got to
be true, right? But what people are saying is to go from a 114 to a 117 is extremely easy, but going from a 107 to a 117, you have to change out a shit ton of parts. So they're saying that alone, if you're planning on upgrading, is worth that extra $1,600 because it saves you a ton of money in the long run.
Well, yeah, because you have to
all
go
the
to
work's
stage
already been
3.
done.
Well, you have to go to the stage 3 first, from the 107 to the 114.
Yeah.
And then you have to do, in essence, another stage kit to get you from the
114
to the 117.
Yeah. And basically what it comes down to is if you do the 114 to 117, you're swapping out jugs, and that's pretty much it. As opposed to the 107, you're doing bottom end and everything like that.
Everything,
too.
yeah.
So, but basically how I wrapped it up is if you could only afford the 107, you're not missing out on a ton. And I wouldn't even advise anyone to go for the 114 unless they have the skills and the balls to push it, because you're going to have to be riding really fast to get that amount of power out of the bike. For example, there was a guy that had a 117 on our last group ride, a 117 Fat Bob. So he had bought in the 114 and upgraded to the 117. And on the straights, he was blowing me away. But when we got to the twisties, you could tell he was not as experienced and was falling back behind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really where you got to weigh it. Now, $1,600 spread over 4 or 5 years, not a ton of money.
Bunch.
But some people, including myself, when I bought my first bike, that was literally every penny I had. So, I mean, if you can only afford the 107, don't knock yourself, because you're still getting an awesome bike.
Yeah, definitely. So you have all these Softails. Now, this episode will be released next week. What episodes do you have coming up that we'll be able to tune into?
So right now I have the Street Bob and the Heritage already out. Yep. Next week is going to be the Fat Boy. They're being released in the order that we talked about them. So Fat Boy will be going live this week that you're hearing it, the day after this is released. And then Fat Bob 107 and 114 are coming out the next 2 weeks, respectively.
Sweet. Awesome.
And then if everything goes right tomorrow, I'll also have a Road Glide and Road King special test ride coming just after that.
Okay.
But those have not been recorded yet.
All right.
Road King.
I know all about the Road King special. Tracy has one, so
yeah.
I've had some time to play around with it, and I like it. I really do. I don't like the lowered suspension, but that's me.
Yeah. And that's something I would change if I were to get that bike. Yeah.
So we've talked about the test rides you've done, the upcoming ones with the Road King and the Road Glide. It's funny. Last episode, I went ahead and broke down, told you guys, fuck it, I'm going to go ahead and trade in my bike. Now, earlier when we were downstairs here in the studio, I showed y'all a hat and a mug. If you guys pay attention to what I say, there's something that happens every time I buy a motorcycle. I get a hat and a mug.
Because you don't get the fucking shirt.
So here's this
You're
for
a piece
you.
of shit and liar.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
So yesterday I bought a 2018 Road Glide Special. I got the white one with the orange custom pinstriping on it.
Damn.
You bastard.
Yeah, I'm a dick. So I was like, Tracy cannot leave out the garage
I
in case Ken...
I saw Tracy posted a picture, and I saw you sitting there.
Oh, I was pissed because I was hangry and I was waiting.
See it.
Yeah, she was like, this is the face of someone who's hangry, about to be going nuclear or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I get the same way. And I noticed he was sitting inside somewhere in a freaking folding lawn chair.
So
I was like, well, that looks kind of familiar, but I didn't connect it.
So I was visiting with Hank yesterday.
Oh, Hank.
And I made him.
I've seen it a million times.
Not post the picture.
I had to do the same thing when I bought my Dyna, because I kept you guys in the dark for like 2 weeks.
So I couldn't post the picture. I was like, no, we're doing our recording for episode 6, and I don't want him to see it. I want to tell everyone at the same time. So I did buy it. It's in the garage right now.
Damn.
That's actually how I know exactly how much that damn Stage 3 is. So I got a pretty decent trade-in on the 2018 Street Glide Special.
R.I.P.
I didn't get hosed too bad. But the $4,000 for that just ate me up. And I was like, I want to drop a year off my payments. So I went with a 5-year loan instead of a 7-year loan. Mm-hmm. And I was able to keep my payments about $10, within $10 of what I was already paying. So
very nice.
I had just the right amount of equity and everything. And Hank
Hank always takes care of people.
Yeah, he's killer when it comes to that stuff, and he really takes care of you. And then also they do this poker card thing, and I won a $175
nice.
Gift card with a 4 of a kind.
You can get a bunch of T-shirts now.
No. But yeah, so I was able to get the hat, and because that's my requirements, hat and a coffee mug. So,
well, see, last time we talked, you said that you always get a shirt and not a T-shirt. Then that's the thing you always work into it. I've never heard the hat and mug thing.
So I really do like Alamo City's shop.
Yeah.
Well, the inside, I'm still working with the service thing, but they don't have a very good selection of shirts.
They don't, no.
The best one I've seen was the Cowboys up in Austin. They actually have an amazing motor clothes selection, but
I'm working on that. Trust me. I am. My contact there, she's like, you need to talk to the motor clothes girl and get her in on this, because the motor clothes girl is actually the one that told me to leave the dealership when we were there for the toy drive, or to stop filming in the dealership.
Oh,
that's her.
Nice.
So I'm like, oh, okay, this should be fun, but no. Well, shit.
damn you, asshole.
So yeah, that's
Congrats.
I was out riding. So there is some bad news. The Freedom Performance exhaust that was on the Street Glide, and with the new bags, I couldn't swap it.
Oh, because you couldn't put the duals back on.
So instead, it's on back order, but I do have a Vance & Hines Pro Pipe.
Nice.
In black coming. And
I like that Pro Pipe.
yeah, it's nice. I loved it when I had it on my last one, and I am going to be going with the comp baffle.
Nice.
Yes.
So
I've been waiting to order the comp baffle. It hadn't been available
So
for
you guys are
ever
not
now.
allowed to ride in front of me.
But they did get my breather moved over. So once the exhaust comes in, they rolled it in. Pretty much nothing really on the install on it. I was like, well, in that case, go ahead and do it. 'Cause I'm not going to make a video of an exhaust install because that's just retarded.
Yeah.
It's been done so many times.
Billion
Yep.
times. Yeah.
So they're going to do it all. Plus, they're going to do a download. I didn't want to tell them I'm going to put a fuel pack on it anyways. But yeah. So yeah, I was looking at it, and if I buy the Stage 3 kit in the next 90 days,
Why don't you just go stage 4?
so I don't want the horsepower. I want the torque.
Okay.
And for what you're getting for the extra grand, it's not worth it for me.
No.
So I'm going to go ahead and I'll probably end up doing the Stage 3 and have that done by them so that it's all under warranty.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, after all the back and forth around the trade-in value and all that stuff, it was actually a very smooth process. I usually hate finance and insurance guys, but they're getting better.
Yeah.
And I was in and out in maybe 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Dang.
impressive.
But when I came in there, and truth be told, I used to work for Harley Davidson.
Yeah.
Other financial services, so I know the games that the dealers are allowed to play. They can upsell the loan for 3% more, and all that. And I just went in there, I was like, look, just don't fuck with me. Here's I already know my credit, and I showed him my FICO score, and he's like, oh. So he changed some numbers.
Give me the best rate and
So
get me out of here.
Yeah, he changed some numbers, and it came out. And I was going to buy the extended warranty, and I was like, well, I don't own a bike long enough for that to actually help me at all. And so just walked out of there. It was awesome, but it's a 4-hour experience. But yeah, so there it is. The cat's out of the bag. I got the Road Glide special.
So Roblox on a new bike, and then if I can talk Brad into buying tomorrow, we'll have 2 new bikes on the ride on Sunday.
And see, here's the thing, and I just heard a Cowboys commercial on the way over here.
Full NADA retail.
Yes.
That's why he's doing it this week, and we had originally scheduled it for the 11th of August.
Yeah, it ends.
And I was like, hey, bud, just got notification of this.
Ending.
Yeah. It's
and that's only on Sportsters, correct?
No.
That's on any bike you trade in for a 2018. They're going to give you NADA retail on the trade-in.
Yeah, full NADA retail until the 31st of July.
Yeah. So, man, if we have 2 new bikes on that ride, woo, dog.
Break them in hard.
I already have. Yeah.
That's a good road to break it on, too. So I found out that the road that we're doing is actually Lime Creek. That really nice stretch in between like the Oasis and Marble Falls, that is Lime Creek Road.
Okay.
So I was like, sweet, we get to kind of kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I do miss the shit out of my Clockworks windshield.
Already?
Yeah. I do not like the stock Harley windshield.
No one does.
Well, I'll
We're
let
too
you
tall.
know that Memphis Shades makes a really awesome windshield.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
They make good everything. Right?
And it's a whole lot cheaper.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't give me the same performance value.
You ride
that
yours.
the Clockworks gets.
And then you ride mine with the Memphis Shades on it. And try and ignore all the fucking fancy shit on your fancy new bike.
Talk about that
The
piece
lowly,
of shit
lowly
103.
103. And just see if you like the windshield.
Oh, okay.
I do have the taller windshield, though.
Yeah, and I do want the shorter one, so I do plan on going back and getting back into making videos and stuff.
Nice.
So I need to have as short of a windshield as I can stand, so that the viewers can actually see over the windshield when I'm recording.
Yeah.
So there's that. Speaking of the ride you guys had this past weekend, I couldn't make it. And it was the Boop 'em for Dominance route.
The grinder, you mean?
Yeah.
No, look, the grinder is now between Bandera and Kerrville. Highway 16 is now called the grinder.
So I was in Asia for 2 weeks.
Everyone thought that you missed it because you didn't want to get booped again.
I was in Asia for 2 weeks. I'd gone to Singapore, Hong Kong, Beijing, and Shanghai for work. And, part of my tour of Asia, I had to hit the Harley shops of the local region. Now, Singapore, there's only one Harley shop in the entire country / city, state, or whatever they want to call it. And I brought you back some chips.
I see that. I haven't picked them up because I don't want to make noise.
So the only one I couldn't get was Beijing, because their poker chips had like numbers on them, and they didn't even say Beijing. It just said like 100 and and 100, and they were all black. I was like, well, that's retarded. Put your name on there. Anyways,
I know what's funny. The Singapore, that one you got me, is a hard duplicate.
Nice.
I have this exact one, colored and everything.
There you go.
Man, my birthday episode's going to be dope. One of the guys that came on the ride, speaking of it, he brought me, I think he said he had 24 in the bag that he gave me, and then he shipped me another 20 because he was doing a Texas tour for his 2-week vacation and hitting all the dealerships. He didn't get them all, but he got, I would say, probably 75% of them.
Nice.
Wow.
It's going to be dumb.
My number's completely screwed then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting destroyed on your record.
You set the record. Everyone wants to.
Yeah, you're dropping into the low tens.
Everyone's aiming for it.
Yeah. So one of the things that killed me, and I think I sent you guys a picture of this.
Yeah.
In Singapore, a 883 or 1200, I don't remember which one it was. If you convert it into US dollars, it's 24,000 US dollars.
That is stupid.
They only had like 5 or 6 bikes at the dealership. And I was like, so how many do y'all sell per month? They're like, maybe 1 or 2 every couple months.
What?
So Harley's kind of like a Lambo over there.
It is.
It's only for the rich.
It is. And they had a 115th anniversary Street Glide, but it wasn't the special, but it had the special blue with
paint,
the horrible eagle paint job on it
across the fairing.
Hate that.
That thing was $60,000.
Shut up.
And I'm like, damn, son, we need to start an importing business here.
No kidding.
Start shipping in used bikes. But the crazy thing, you go a couple 100 miles north into Malaysia, go to Kuala Lumpur, and they're about the same price as you'd pay for the bikes here. Now, they don't have the same models over there, which is kind of weird. Now, they don't have the full lineup. Mm-hmm. They may have 2 Sportsters, 2 or 3 Softails, and 1 or 2 touring bikes. I only found one area that had a Road Glide. The Road Glides are not very popular over there.
Just too big.
Yeah.
Everyone's so tiny over there.
So
can't reach the ground.
Right.
But it's just crazy. So Shanghai actually had the coolest dealership. Mm-hmm. And I will say Singapore had the hottest motor clothes girls. But it's true. They're the Southeast Asians. They have a unique look. But they were just the prettiest. And they actually spoke fluent English. So that was huge. But Shanghai had the coolest dealership. Singapore had the hottest motor clothes girls. Right. Which is funny. They actually sell more clothes than they sell bikes.
I believe that.
So a lot of tourists.
So with that being said, since they are so expensive in some of those countries, did you actually see any on the road? And if not, what did you see?
So there were no Harleys that I saw on the road in Singapore and Hong Kong. It's not really a fair thing because they had typhoons coming through. So it was raining the entire time, so you can't really tell. But I did see a bunch of bikes, a bunch of Harleys in Beijing, of all places.
Really?
Yeah, tons of them. And
what do you see mostly? Mostly Sportsters?
No.
What?
No, touring bikes.
What?
Yeah. So some of the smallest people I've ever seen, like smallest adults, are on touring bikes.
Does they like run alongside it and like hop on and go or something?
No, it's, again,
Those training wheels that you posted.
Like, yeah, the freaking ghost wheels.
You know how I complain about the special suspension? You know how it's a lowered suspension? I think their suspensions are all
come stock like that.
Lowered suspension, like the 12 instead of the 13. So it may not be true. They may do that aftermarket, but yeah, dude, there's at the dealership, there were some of the what's the XR whatever 1200s.
Yeah,
they had a bunch of those for sale.
Really?
But their number one selling bike, roughly translated from this guy that I was talking to, was the Street Glide and the Ultra.
The Ultra?
Yeah. What? But to be
I'm
fair,
so shook right now.
In Beijing, they are bigger people. Shanghai, they're the
normal
stereotypical, very short, small human beings. But in Beijing, you did see a lot of the larger individuals. Plus, Beijing being the capital, you have a lot of expats who are there.
Yeah.
So that
makes sense.
Feeds into it as well.
Yeah.
But the one thing I saw the most of were electric scooters.
It makes total sense. Especially with the pollution and stuff there, it makes total sense.
So, you know, Chinese is historically known for their bicycles. A lot of people ride bicycles because they can't afford cars or they just weren't available.
Yeah, they're ungodly expensive.
Yeah. But these electric scooters, Harley better put a freaking like fake exhaust note or something, because these things are like ninjas. I understand that ninjas are a Japanese thing, but in China they are silent, stealthy killers. I got nicked by one, and he was probably doing 30 on the sidewalk, mind you.
Well, that's just another part of the road.
Yeah, on the sidewalk, he's doing about 30 on this little scooter thing. And he nicks my messenger bag. And I'm like, what the hell was that? And I see this scooter. And they have all kinds of things that they make into a scooter. Not all of these were factory scooters. There are some made out of wood.
Okay, so when you say scooter, are you talking about like a stand-up razor scooter or like a moped?
Like a moped.
Okay.
Like the Honda.
Gotcha.
Like a Vespa.
Yeah.
Okay.
But take the stock body off of it and all the fairings or anything like that and just add whatever.
Wheel frame and some sort of powering device.
Yeah.
Rat rod scooters. Okay.
I love it.
And the killer thing, I started calling them the electric scooter mafia over there because they did whatever they wanted. So they actually have their own lane on most of the major roads in Beijing and Shanghai. It is a special lane just for scooters and bicycles. And so all the major roads that we were on had 4 lanes each direction, and one of them was dedicated to those. Here's the thing.
Wow.
It doesn't matter what side of the road you're on. They go whatever direction they want.
Wow.
And being from the United States, where we have a little bit more order and everything to how we do things, do not try to cross a street in Beijing or Shanghai without looking in every possible direction.
See you looking up, looking down.
Because you will probably get hit. And it just boggled my mind of how just psychotic the entire thing was. Damnedest thing, I didn't see a single accident.
Wow.
And, you know, when you look at like bikes and automobiles here in the States, it's pretty given. Autos are always going to win when it comes to like the right of way.
Yeah.
However, not in China. You do not win if you're a car. Cars will stop in the middle of a road because a scooter just crossed the path. I was like, okay, in America, we say Asian and typically Asian women drivers are the worst drivers known to man. But once you go over there and you see them in their natural state,
their natural habitat,
you're like, I mean, there's a few times we thought we were going to die in a car accident.
Wow.
And they have the most amazing brakes. And the things that would happen over there, all these people cutting each other off, no one screamed at them. There's no horns being honked at people. I'm like, damn, in Texas, your ass should get shot for half of this.
On the way over here today.
But it was crazy. And the bikes, they don't care about right of way and yielding. They just straight take it.
Wow.
They own it. And
so that's kind of the same in America.
Yeah.
F that stoplight, F that stop sign. I'm on a single speed bike with tight shorts and a weird hat. I'm going.
But
gotta go to my shift at Starbucks.
And traffic signals and everything like that for these things, for the scooters and the mopeds and stuff, they don't matter.
It's optional.
Doesn't apply to them.
I mean, on every major intersection, especially during rush hour, which seemed to be every hour I was there, but whatever. But there's like 50 cops, and they actually control the lights.
Oh my God.
And they didn't say or do anything to any of these bikes. Now, given they're rolling a few hundred deep at a time.
Well, and you can't hear them coming anyway, so.
No. But it was crazy. It was a really awesome experience.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that shit would never pass in the States.
No.
I mean, go to California, go to LA, go to Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, New York City, all your major cities, and your ass is going to be shot.
People will be dead.
Yeah.
One way or the other, they'd be
fist
dead.
fights happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, sidewalk, if it's clear, there's going to be a scooter on it soon.
Dang.
It was nuts. But it didn't seem to bug anyone other than, the rude American who doesn't understand their culture thing, I guess. But it was just crazy. But I had a blast. A whole bunch of really crazy shit happened while we were there, but it was still an awesome trip. And going with one of my guys that works for me, it was his first time in Asia, and he was able to cross off a couple things off his bucket list. So that was really cool.
I mean, I would say that we missed you, but it was literally like the 2 busiest weeks for me. And I think I saw Ken once.
Nice.
So it was literally just like the best time for you to go.
I hate missing rides, but for the next episode, we'll be talking about group rides and some of the perils that go along with them. But I'm glad I didn't make it on Boopum number 2.
It was so weird having Donnie be the only OG there. It was so strange. I mean, like, there's usually at least 2 of you. Yeah. I mean, I think Ken's missed 1 ride ever. And, I mean, you've been on a good amount since you've come back to the group.
Yeah.
But it was just so weird not having Brad, not having you two. It was just so strange.
I thought about you. I mean, while I was on the boat.
Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah.
It was good times.
One thing about Asia that I'm going to mention, it's not really motorcycle related, but it's something I would like to note. And it kind of goes along with all the electric scooters. I saw more Teslas on the island of Hong Kong than I've seen the rest of my life. And that was in a 4.5 day period.
Wow.
And it's one of the number 1 selling cars there.
I wonder how expensive they are there.
Same price. It's just, but it's cheaper.
Parts are all there already. Why is they cost so much?
Well, it's cheaper for them to do the electricity side because of the way the electricity is set up. It's so much cheaper than having fuel, and they don't pay tax on the cars.
Yeah.
So it's just an observation we noticed.
By the way, speaking of taxes, Tesla has now sold enough of their electric cars that they're about to lose their tax credit. I read an article about that the other day because apparently there's like a cap that you can only get those tax credits for a certain number of vehicles, and then it will start going by half. So I believe it was like $8,000 was the tax, and then for the next 90 days it can be cut to $4,000, $2,000, $1,000 until it dwindles off. I thought that was interesting, but they were saying how that could possibly impact sales.
Nice.
Completely off topic, but just a fun fact.
So we've talked about Harleys in Asia, but one thing we kind of barely touched on a little bit on this podcast is Indians, and
they've been on TV a lot.
Yeah,
killing it.
I mean, over the last 3.5 weeks, we've seen all kinds of crazy stuff happening in both somewhat negative but mostly positive. So let's go ahead and talk some about Indian motorcycles.
So Indians killing it.
I love how simply you just put that out there.
Comparatively, they are killing it.
I mean,
their revenue is still down from last year, but their sales are going up.
Up 13%.
Not on their latest figures, not on Q2. They were in the single digits in Q2.
Okay.
Still up while everyone else is down. But
okay,
if things are going the way they're going,
from the company aspect, let's just talk about the name.
The name Indian.
That reputation for it
is starting to kill it.
The Travis Pastrana thing alone.
Yeah.
Evil Live.
Stupid. That I have never seen that many people at an event in Las Vegas live.
At multiple locations.
So, it was stupid.
Here's something to note. I actually watched it.
Oh, yeah, I watched it too.
I don't watch this kind of crap. I don't care about it. I just watch the YouTube videos.
I set a reminder on my phone.
Me too. I got a Hulu 30-day subscription so I could stream it.
And I was Justin and I were texting back and forth. Oh, did you see that shit?
Well, so Trace and I, we were watching. We tuned in right after he did the first jump.
Okay.
And so, of course, we saw the replay of that jump a few thousand times before his next one.
Yeah.
But we were just enthralled. And it's just, he was doing it on an Indian. And you want to talk about marketing. Did you see how many tweets went out about that?
Oh, my God. I mean, even I hit it on Instagram.
Yeah.
You know, through the hashtags out there. You know, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, you know, Evel Knievel and the stunts that he was doing, just...
Everyone loved Evel Knievel.
Yes.
Everyone loves Travis Pastrana. He's the golden boy.
He's a family guy.
He was a family guy. He was the golden boy when he raced motocross. He was the family boy, the golden boy when he did FMX. Like, he's the golden boy with Nitro Circus. Like,
yes.
The only people that hate him are the people that he's beat in competition.
All the haters.
There was it was Mike Metzger. Okay, I actually called him out on Instagram because he put up a post saying that, did I just hear a broadcaster say that no one's ever cleared the fountains at Caesar's Palace? I was like, first off, no, you didn't. They said no one's ever done it on a road bike because he backflipped it a few years back.
Oh, okay.
He backflipped it on an FMX bike, which is nothing.
Yeah,
things that weigh like 250.
What they do,
it's nothing with that small of a gap. It's stupid. And someone commented, they said, "Damn, Mike, why are you so salty?" And I replied, I was like, probably because Travis has more gold medals than he has medals combined.
Oh,
No response.
Oh, weird how that works.
Right.
He
Post
jumped,
is no longer available.
He did those jumps on that Indian Scout.
Over 700 pounds.
Yeah.
Over 700 pounds.
I mean,
or was it 500 pounds? It was 700, wasn't it?
No, it was like 400, 400 or 500.
400 or 500, yeah.
Yeah,
on that
but
Scout
still
thing that he was riding.
Yeah,
yeah,
it was like 500, yeah.
But still, I think it was like 430 pounds because my wife kept saying it's not 450 pounds. Yeah, it was like 430.
That's right. Yep.
Of all the things, okay.
But he made those jumps look freaking effortless.
Yep.
Like he landed those things, and yeah, I know it's not a completely stock suspension, but he only had 4 inches of suspension travel.
That is
versus,
stupid.
you know, his dirt bikes, which have 13 inches.
Yeah, over 12 inches.
Yeah. Effortless.
What blew my mind, and this is something my dad pointed out afterwards, he said the difference between Evel Knievel and Travis Pastrana is Travis Pastrana is a motorcycle rider. He knows the mechanics.
This is true.
He's broken records. He said the finesse he had with, once it got up, you saw him tap that rear brake and just completely change the geometry or the trajectory of everything and just come and just boom.
Yeah.
That's what made those jumps so
effortless.
Different. Yeah. Granted, he wasn't doing it on a period correct motorcycle. Whatever.
So what?
It's still a 430-pound street bike with no suspension.
Yeah.
And he's flying it through the air hundreds of feet.
And at the end of the day, so whenever I was watching the old reruns of the Evel Knievel stuff, I was like, oh, I hope he crashes. For Travis, I was like, oh, I hope he makes it. Hope he make it. And but he's our Evel Knievel.
Yep.
And that's what people need to realize is that every generation has to have theirs.
Yep.
And he's ours.
And he did it on an Indian.
And he did it on Indian. And
Indian was all over everywhere.
Yeah. So was RSD everywhere.
Everywhere.
You know, I can appreciate Roland Sands, but to this day, I still can't stand the pricing that they throw on their stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's with any top name.
Of course, it's
manufacturer.
American manufactured. Yeah.
You know. But I mean, yeah, Indian was everywhere.
But Harley was everywhere for the X Games. So that's kind of my question is, what got more? I think the Travis Pastrana thing probably got more viewers than the whole X Games combined.
Well, I didn't watch the X Games.
But let's also look at it like this, though. For all the stuff that Harley was sponsoring, Indian won.
True. Except the hooligan race.
Okay, because that was an all Harley thing.
It wasn't all Harley. No.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
No, they had a field of, I think, 98 riders in the qualifying, and they brought it down to 6 riders, and all 6 were Harley riders.
Okay, so Harley was going to win it.
Exactly. But I mean, they knocked out a ton of Indians getting there. So.
Okay.
To be fair.
Okay.
But those are backyard racers.
Yeah.
That was kind of that was one of the things that you had to qualify for to be in the hooligan race is you cannot make money racing motorcycles.
It's kind of like the Olympics type of thing.
Yeah, it had to be.
You had to be amateur.
You had to be amateur.
Okay.
And that was what the deciding factor between flat track and hooligan. That's what the deciding factor is. Flat track racers, that's what they do for a living.
Sure.
Hooligan is literally just, I mean, the Rusty Butcher guys were in it. They just build bikes and
have
make
fun.
shitty YouTube videos.
It's true. Yeah.
And they were racing on it. So
we are not known for being politically correct, but we are as truthful as we can be with our opinions. But it's speaking of American flat track.
Mm-hmm.
In 2018, Indian has won every American flat track race.
Killing it.
And how many have they had all podiums? 8?
8.
8 out of 11,
8.
I think?
Yeah.
Full podiums.
But one thing that we talked about before we got on the air here is I'm curious how rider input has to do with that. Because that's always been a big deal in flat track racing is who steals the best riders. And the reason I bring that up is because speaking of Travis Pastrana switched companies, I think 2 or 3 times.
Mm-hmm. But did he switch bikes?
Yes.
So in like an American flat track, Indian, I don't think actually has a American flat track team. These are the teams that are building bikes and they're using the Indian platform to build it. They're not actually like an Indian factory team.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, I mean, that's one of the things I was looking up for the American flat track thing. These teams that are putting out these racers, yeah, they are buying the best racers, just like NASCAR, just like all the other things. You buy the best talent you can. But the power plants and the bikes they're using are their choice. They're not being told, okay, you now ride for Indian, or you now ride for Harley, or Yamaha. You are riding for Team XYZ, and here's the bike that we've chosen to use as our platform.
That makes sense, yeah. So it's still a preference.
Yeah.
So, but, my point still holds valid is if you stuck that rider on a Harley power plant,
sure,
could they still be as dominant as they are? Because like we have examples showing the two polar opposites. For example, like Bubba Stewart, another motocross racer. He won multiple championships with multiple different companies, multiple different bikes, multiple different powerhouses. Mm-hmm. But you look at on the MotoGP side, granted, we're talking completely different worlds.
Yeah.
Valentino Rossi destroyed on Yamaha, one of the most winningest riders of all time. He never won a single race with Ducati, who is supposedly known as one of the better companies. I don't even think he ever podiumed with a Ducati. As soon as he went back to Yamaha, he started podiuming again. So I'm curious how much of that is bike input versus rider input.
True.
I would love to see those riders ride both bikes and see who puts up better times.
Yeah. I mean,
because with what you're saying, they're not Indian factory teams.
Right.
They don't have the same strangleholds as an Indian factory team would have, or a Harley factory team does have.
Exactly. No, I agree. But it's interesting to see that dynamic, though. And again, take everything else out of the picture and look at just the reputation and the fact that Indian can say Indian motorcycles have won every American flat track racing, and Harley's the biggest sponsor.
Yeah.
And Harley markets a lot on the flat track stuff because that is Harley's heritage.
Yeah.
But they're not winning.
No.
They haven't had a winning season in quite some time. They may have won a couple races, but they haven't won the entire season. But
even last year, Jared Meese, however you say his last name, he dominated on the Indian of the 2017 flat track season.
Yeah. Well, he's just a dominant racer. Period.
Yeah.
I personally cannot stand flat track. I think it's boring for me to watch, but I can appreciate a sport where you are putting your life on
you're putting
the
it out
line.
there.
And when you're going balls to the wall every race.
On dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sliding around.
That's what I was saying, like even the hooligan stuff, while I was watching that, like, good God, if you go down, you're breaking your leg. Like, there's no avoiding it. You're breaking your leg.
So I can definitely appreciate the athleticism that those guys have. But for me, it's not a sport I can watch.
Yeah. And that was going to bring me to my next point is even though Indian is winning every race, does it matter?
Right.
Are enough people interested in it to where it's going to have any impact on sales or anything like that?
It starts, just getting their name out there more and more. Mm-hmm. Hey, this is what we're doing on an Indian, whether it's the Indian team or not. Yeah. We did this on an Indian versus a Harley.
let's face it, we're talking about it, and we are diehard Harley guys.
Yeah.
So, and yes, it's kind of our job to find this information and provide it to the public, but
didn't have to talk about it.
We didn't have to. No fake news here. We report whatever we come up with. But I do like the fact that someone is giving Harley a run for their money, and I like it because competition drives innovation, and it drives cost reduction.
Yes.
So if
you can't let them get too comfortable, and I think that's exactly what's happened with the entire market.
It's like we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah. They settled in. They're like, oh, we have a 53% market share. We're good.
Yep.
Let's put out the same bike for 15 years. Like,
so with all the good stuff we've talked about with Indian, they did have a little misfortune happen with a recall. Now, I don't have all the details. I think, Ken, you have more than I have. But talk us through what it was and why it really doesn't matter, but it's important for anyone that owns an Indian to understand this.
Yeah, I mean, products get recalled all the time for numerous reasons. And the Indian recall isn't really a big deal. It's nothing really catastrophic. The 2017-2018 Scout line with ABS is being recalled because air may have gotten into the lines during production.
Okay, so is it an actual recall?
It's an actual recall.
Or is it something that you just take your bike into the shop and they just do a complete brake, like fluid swap?
Both.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, it's an actual recall. Government recall.
NHTSA has actually labeled it as a recall.
Yes.
Okay,
so take your bike in to your Indian dealer and they'll fix it. They bleed the front and rear brakes.
And then put new fluid, and they make sure that there's no other issues.
All free, good to go.
And I did read that anyone who was having the squishy brake issue that paid to have it fixed, they're being refunded.
Correct.
So
I believe that falls under the recall laws.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a moot point, though. I mean, Harley had the same issue
with
a few times.
The clutches, they had an issue with the hydraulic clutches that I on my bike even.
Yeah. Well, when they came out with the new ABS back in like 2013, 2011, or whatever it was, they had an issue with the brakes. Now, I don't know if it got to recall status, but I know I had to go get my brakes completely bled and fixed.
Last time I heard it did not get into recall status, and it was more so of a it's something that should have been done during the services that they didn't put in the services.
Okay.
So it was basically just a delayed service of swapping out the fluids.
Okay.
Yeah, and
because people weren't doing it themselves.
And these brakes, as they're coming off the factory line, it's automated.
Yeah.
There's not some guy standing there bleeding the brakes on every single bike. And I think it came out to like 4,185 Scouts with ABS.
Okay.
And I mean,
but they're just doing a total recall on every one of the Scouts that had ABS.
Yeah.
So it's
every
so much
Scout.
easier. Yeah. If you have a Scout with ABS, take it to your shop. They'll get it fixed. It won't cost you anything. And you might be without a bike for a day.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that the way that they're handling is great. Yeah. I mean, I would bring this up every time a big recall is in the news, whether it be Harley, Indian, or even automotive manufacturers. No manufacturer is going to be immune to a recall.
Right. And
I would say 8 times out of 10, the recall is more of a cover your ass as opposed to, hey, there's actually something wrong with the bikes or the cars.
So I do risk management for a living.
Yeah.
And a recall only happens if, one, there's enough of a problem where the risk of lawsuits will outweigh the risk of or the cost of doing a recall. So that's probably what they saw here when it comes to a braking system. And
one fails.
Yeah.
And what we were just talking about, reputation risk is huge for any company, any manufacturer. And that's something that they have to take into effect because that's millions upon millions of dollars that you have all these great things, but then you have 10 accidents where riders are being killed.
Yep.
And the media has such a great way of twisting it. Father killed on Indian motorcycle.
Yep.
That's what's in the headline.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, Polaris is a publicly traded company. So they have to take that into consideration too.
And as of this recording, from what I could find, there have been no injuries.
No.
Yeah.
There's been no.
So this was actually a voluntary recall from Indian, as from what I understand it to be.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing is not does the recall happen, but how does the company handle the recall?
Yeah.
It's not like the Chevy recall with the damn seat belts, something on the new trucks. Like they had to go in and replace something in the seat belt, but the seat belt goes into the seat on the side.
Oh.
And you have to open it up. Well, a lot of people were taking shortcuts and just taking a Dremel to the plastics. Like it was a big issue.
Wow.
Yeah, they did to my dad's truck. He was pissed.
Chevy 101. That's why I don't drive bow ties.
Okay.
Thank you for tuning in to episode 6 of the Between Two Wheels podcast. We hope you enjoy listening to these shows as much as we enjoy making them. Be sure to head over to our website, www.betweentwowheels.com. The 2 is spelled out TWO, to check out the show notes where you will find links to articles, pics, etc. of what we discuss in each episode, as well as finding the links to all of our social media pages. On behalf of Justin and Uncle Ken, I am Johnny Roblock. Be sure to keep the shiny side up, and we will catch you in the next one.
I be dead, dude. I like fast food.